episodes UPSC Universe. I am Sowjanya, Faculty of Current Affairs, and in this video we are going to discuss one important article from the Hindu today, that is 28th of June 2023. So the article that we are going to discuss today is India needs a uniform civil code, affirms Modi. So the source for this particular article, it is the Hindu, page 1 and 12. So we are going to discuss about uniform civil code and the related previous year questions and also expected prelims and mains questions. So first of all, why is this issue in news? So regarding this issue, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, he said that India needed a uniform civil code as the country could not run with a dual system of separate laws for separate communities. So as per our Prime Minister of India, this uniform civil code, this is very much needed in our country because we cannot run this dual system of separate laws for separate communities. So as far as the example that is given by our Prime Minister in this context, if consider there is a family with two different communities, right? So if there are two members belonging to two different communities and if they follow two different personal laws, so that will be very difficult to run a particular family if there are two different personal laws for two different members. So in such a scenario, it would be very difficult to run a country having different kinds of personal laws. As we know, we have different personal laws for different communities in our country, and our Prime Minister says we need a uniform civil code. So we'll look at what is uniform civil code and the related things. So coming to our UPSC syllabus relevance, if you consider prelims, it comes under Indian Polity and Governance, Constitution, and for mains it comes under GS paper 2. So it comes under GS 2, Governance, Constitution and Polity. So Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings, evaluation, features, amendments, significant provisions and basic structure. So it comes under GS 2 for mains and it comes under Indian Polity and Governance, Constitution for prelims. So coming to the important concepts in this particular article, it is Uniform Civil Code and Pasmanda Muslims. So there is a mention of this Pasmanda Muslims in this particular article. So we are going to also look at this particular concept. So coming to the previous year questions for prelims. So there was already a question on uniform civil code. So whenever you go through a particular article in Hindu, you have to go through the previous year questions related to it so that you'll get to know how questions can be framed in prelims and also in mains. So coming to this particular concept, here you can see there is a question on directive principles of state policy, that is a DPSP. So this question was given back in 2012. So here these are the options that we have regarding the directive principles of state policy. So we have to identify which of the following are Gandhian principles under DPSPs. So here you can see the correct answer is 2 and 3, that is village panchayats, organizing of village panchayats and promoting cottage industries in rural areas. These two comes under our Gandhian principles of directive principles of state policy. So coming to the prelims practice question for today. So whatever article we have on uniform civil code in today's The Hindu, we have a prelims practice question. So consider the following about Pasmanda Muslims. As we have discussed already, there is a mention of this Pasmanda Muslims. So whenever there is a mention of a new community, you have to go through the details and background of that community so that you will be able to answer the question if it is given in the exam. So coming to the question on this, Pasmanda, it is a Sanskrit term and it signifies those who are advanced financially. So this is our first statement. So coming to our second statement, the term Pasmanda, it is majorly used by Muslim associations in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and other parts of India. So these are the two statements that we have and we have to identify the correct statement. So here the correct answer is B, because the term Pasmanda, it is a Persian term or a Parsi term, right? So it's a Persian term and it means those who have fallen behind. And this refers to Muslims belonging to Shudra, that is backward, and Ati Shudra, that is Dalit caste. So it was adopted as an oppositional identity to that of Ashraf Muslims. So Ashraf Muslims are forward Muslims and Pasmanda Muslims are backward Muslims. So do remember these two terms because these are in news recently. You have a chance of getting a question in prelims regarding these terms. And this was done in 1998 by the Pasmanda Muslim Mahash. So this was a group which mainly worked in the state of Bihar. So the term Pasmanda, it is majorly used by Muslim associations in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and other parts of India. So the second statement is correct and the first statement is incorrect because it's a Persian term and it means those who have fallen behind, right? So this is to define themselves as Muslim communities who are historically and socially oppressed by caste. So this is all about our prelims practice question. So coming to mains, we already had our mains previous year question. So let's have a look at it. Discuss the possible factors that inhibit India from enacting for its citizens a uniform civil code as provided for in the Directive Principles of State Policy. So this question was given in UPSC mains in the year 2015. So coming to our today's mains practice question, discuss the implications for implementing a uniform civil code in India and do you believe it will jeopardize India's diversity? So you have to bring about what is uniform civil code. So first of all you have to start your answer with what is uniform civil code and then you have to identify and you have to examine what is the need for uniform civil code in India and what are the possibilities or the implications of implementation of this uniform civil code and then you have to identify whether it is a threat to India's diversity. As we know, in India we have a vast diversity, be it cultural diversity or religious diversity. So from north to south and from east to west, we have lot of states having different kinds of cultures. So it is having a lot of diversity in India. So as far as this diversity is concerned, will this uniform civil code threaten this diversity of India? So this is what you have to answer in your mains practice question, right? So you have to mention all these points, what is the need for uniform civil code, right? And also you have to identify whether it is a threat or will it jeopardize India's cultural diversity. So finally you have to give a nice conclusion for your answer regarding all the arguments that you have made above for all these points, right? So though we have lot of diversity and though there is some rectifications are needed for the personal laws, right, be it Hindu personal law or Muslim personal law, there are some rectifications that have to be done. So as of now we may not be ready for uniform civil code, but we can make some rectifications or modifications wherein needed, right, for these personal laws and then we have to make people ready for this uniform civil code because as of now bringing of a single uniform civil code for the entire country may not be possible as all the people of our country are not ready for this, right? As far as our minorities are concerned, some of the people, some group of people, they still consider that bringing about uniform civil code is like oppressing them by their communities, right? And pushing with the Hindu ideology on the entire country. So this is what some minorities feel. So first of all we have to make it clear to the people what a uniform civil code means and what is the need for implementing it and what all rectifications are to be done for the present personal laws that we have in our country. So we have to first prepare the ground for this and then we can introduce this uniform civil code at a later date. So this is how a way you can conclude your answer. So in this way you have to answer your mains practice question. So as far as detailed explanation of important concepts are concerned, as we can see, one is our uniform civil code. So what does basically uniform civil code? It will provide one law for the entire country, uniform, that is one single law for entire country. So that will be applicable to all the religious communities in their personal matters like marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption, etc. For all these things, for all the religious communities, one single law will be applicable, that will be our uniform civil code. And do remember this article, that is Article 44 of the Constitution. It lays down that the state shall endeavour to secure a uniform civil code for the citizens throughout the territory of India. And this Article 44, it is one of our directive principles of state policy. And as defined in Article 37, do remember it is not justiciable. That means it cannot be enforced by any court, but it is very important for the governance, right? So India's colonial era, it also saw discussions of a uniform civil code. That means since we were under British rule, at that time itself there were discussions for this uniform civil code. So the British government, it has also submitted a report in 1835 calling for codification of Indian laws. And even before our independence, that is during our colonial era, criminal laws, they were codified and made universally applicable. But personal laws, they are still governed by several community specific ordinances. So Indian Constitution, as we know, it was written during the post colonial period. And we have this Hindu Code Bill, Succession Act, Hindu Marriage Act, Minority and Guardianship Act, Adoptions and Maintenance Act, etc. So there were some of the reforms that were implemented at that time. And coming to one more important concept in today's article, that is Pasmanda Muslims. As we have already discussed, it's a Persian term, do remember this. So they are socially, educationally and economically backward people making up majority of the Muslim community in our country. And this is majorly used in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and other parts of India. So backward, Dalit and tribal Muslim communities, they are now organizing under the identity of Pasmanda. And these are the various communities which are included under this Pasmanda Muslims. So these are the concepts that you have to remember regarding today's article on Uniform Civil Code. Hope you have liked this video. Thank you.